So here's the thing. I'm a Sonic fan, and you guys probably know this by now, seeing how I've made a couple of videos about the franchise at this point. However, I've yet to actually go out and review a Sonic game before. But now's the time to change that, because, well, as it turns out, there are actually people out there that like this game. And while I certainly will be pretty vocal about why I hate this game so much, if you do like Sonic Forces, that's fine. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at you about it. Hell, my favorite Sonic game is Sonic Heroes, so obviously I'm used to people hating something that I like. But with that out of the way, Sonic Forces is the worst Sonic game.
Worse than Sonic Boom.
Worse than Sonic 2006?
Worse than Sonic Heroes?
Yes, worse than all of those. I know I may be labeled as a contrarian for this, but all of the opinions in these videos are and always will be my own accurate opinion. I hate Sonic Forces, and I genuinely think that is the worst Sonic game ever made. Strap in, kids! We're going for a deep dive. However, before we begin, I am going to need to address something. For some reason, when I had OBS open when I was playing this game to record footage, it would fucking chug, to the point that the footage was pretty much unusable.
There's sand everywhere! Green Hill's looking a lot more like Sand Hill right now.
Now, to be fair to the game, this is an OBS problem. When I played it normally, it was fine. But because of this, I am going to have to be using other people's footage for the gameplay. But rest assured, I did replay and beat Sonic Forces and Episode Shadow for the video. And I got permission to use whatever footage I got. So special thanks to the real Sonic fan for allowing me to use his footage for the video. Seeing how this is a game, I think a good place to start would be the gameplay. Sonic Forces is broken into 3 different gameplay styles. Sonic, your user-created avatar named Rookie, and Classic Sonic. All of them are terrible! So Sonic uses the boost formula, a gameplay style which a lot of people don't like. However, I actually think that, when designed correctly, the boost formula can be both fun and rewarding. Keyword, when designed correctly. So as I haven't played a Sonic game in the past 15 years, the boost formula works like this. When running, you have a bar which fills up when you're doing something. Sometimes it's collecting rings, sometimes it's killing bad guys, or sometimes it's something else. It tends to change per game. By pressing down a button, Sonic rockets off at super speed while also being invulnerable. A lot of people use the term boost to win to criticize these games, saying all you have to do is hold down the boost button and you win the game. But I'd say that previous boost games always do something to make it a bit more interesting than that. Unleashed Generations not only have moments where it's entirely possible to run out of boost if you're not careful, but also areas where boosting would just flat out be a bad idea. Or other quick interjections. Colors does this last, but still has points where boosting is a bad idea, and uses the wisps in order to vary up the gameplay a bit. Forces does neither of these. I would argue that about 80% of the level design during the 3D sections of gameplay is just long, tight paths with occasional jumps you have to make. 15% rail segments where you basically don't do anything, and 5% other, which include quick time events, scripted sequences, and a few moments where boosting is a bad idea. I can seriously think of 2 entire moments of the game where it's actually open and not just a hallway. One being during the city levels, where there's just a little open area with a fountain, and there's one part with gears where you actually have to do some jumping. It doesn't help that you get the boost rather easily in Forces, seeing how boost capsules and enemies are all over the place. Seriously, you can barely go 10 feet before smashing into either a capsule or an enemy, so you're basically never running out of this stuff. Well, that's Sonic out of the question. Maybe Rookie can be more fun. Well, first things first, there actually is reason to be optimistic since Rookie doesn't use the boost formula at all. Apart from that, they mostly play like Sonic, but to give them something a little extra, you get something called a Wispin, which is effectively a gun that can be customized to do a variety of different attacks. And this sounds more like it, you can't just hold down a button and run forward. Oh, what's that? The first Wispin you get is a never-ending flamethrower which kills everything in front of you in one hit? Oh. Then why would you use anything else? I mean, apart from getting red rings, which I'm almost certain doesn't do anything but give you more cosmetics, why wouldn't you use it? It's not only the most powerful weapon, but its special ability you get when you find a burst wisp is the most useful. Why would you give us the best weapon in the game at the start? Pardon me for the poor quality footage that's about to come on screen, but this basically perfectly illustrates why this angers me. Here I am, homing attacking enemies, just doing normal Sonic stuff, before suddenly realizing, hey, wait a sec, why am I doing this? We're just going on to holding down shoot and running forward. Honestly, there's kind of an easy fix to this. Give us a meter a lot like the boost, but call it like ammo or something. When you use your normal attack, it'll lower a little bit, but then you can press another button to do the special thing, which would drain a larger chunk of ammo. Instead of having the Wisp just give us the special ability, those would actually act as ammo replenishments. It'd force you to actually be a bit more engaged, like, do I want to use my ammo now to make this running part easier? Or save it in case I get to a big group of enemies I need to defeat. Not that the game does that second one all too much anyways, but you get my point. The level design here is pretty basic to be honest, but this blandness actually comes from a problem with how Rookie works. See, the species you pick and the Wispin you use can have pretty big differences in gameplay. The bird can double jump and the cat saves some rings after getting a hit. The burst Wispin can be used while running, while lightning Wispin forces you to stand still when you use it. And remember, you can mix and match these different species and Wispins to your heart's content. So, multiply the 7 species by 7 Wispins, and you get 49 different ways to play as Rookie! Now yes, not every single one is vastly different, but you still need to account for most of these when it comes to designing the game. You need to make sure that every single Rookie level can work and be fun with all 49 different ways, which is pretty much impossible. Now because of that, your only real choice is to make the levels as generic and bland as possible. Like, you can't make a level that's a mix of both fun and challenging for, say, the bear, but then the cat keeps getting rings on hit, or the rabbit has more invincibility frames, so it's a cakewalk for them. So, hallways, enemies that aren't any threats, and very occasionally points where you can use your Wispin's special powers to skip over a bit of the level. Woo-hoo! Finally, we get to Classic Sonic, who focuses mainly on 2D gameplay. How do I describe how Classic Sonic plays? Okay, so, take a good 2D Sonic game, then just get rid of it and grab a bad one instead. For the longest time playing this game, I was having a hard time trying to actually verbalize why Classic Sonic feels so wrong, until I finally figured it out. Classic Sonic, hell, all of the characters in this game have basically no momentum. You know how in basically every other Sonic game, when you stop holding the joystick down, Sonic gradually comes to a stop? This game doesn't do that. If you let go of the joystick, at all, your character stops on a dime. Now, with modern Sonic, when you're relying on boost and all that, it's not the worst. If anything, it can lead to some funny moments. Like this part where seemingly everyone can't get up this little hill first try for some reason. Yeah, it happened to me too. But here's the thing, Classic Sonic doesn't really have a boost, so it makes the lack of momentum a bitch. I'm also pretty sure Classic Sonic has, like, a speed cap that's not even that fast. Like, when you're not using, say, a boost pad, you can be going on 2 different ramps that are at 2 different slopes and still be going at the same speed. And look at this part, it's the scripted sequence, you're literally going 90 degrees, you are blasting by everything and then just, nope. Look how instantly, the second Classic Sonic gets out of this sequence, he loses all of that speed. Compare this to any part in pretty much any 2D Sonic game, hell, any Sonic game, period. A sequence like this should have you blasting forward the second you get out of it. But here they just slow you down, and before you even notice, they end the level. Brilliant. One more thing I want to talk about gameplay-wise is that there's actually a 4th style, where Sonic and Rookie team up, which just kind of goes to make both experiences even weaker. Since now, Rookie just has the boost, and what I'm pretty sure is the only part of the game where they force you to defeat enemies to move on, Rookie can just one-shot them. However, the worst part of all of this is something called the double boost. Here, a random QuickTime event just pops up, and you have to mash the button in order to blast off, to the point you literally don't even need to hold the controller anymore. Every single time this happened, I put down my controller just out of spite. But the funniest part is that you can lose the QuickTime event literally not touching anything. And the boost just happens anyways. You literally lose nothing from it. And again, since this happens at random, it really doesn't feel like a super power-up, just a cutscene. The funniest part though, is that there are 3 different bosses, including the final boss, where the final hit is supposed to be a double boost. But if you don't press anything, your characters will just stumble for a sec while the boss does nothing and waits for you to finish it off. Hilarious. Speaking of bosses, they're actually kind of a selling point for the game. But to get into that, we're going to have to dive into the story of Sonic Forces. So first, let's go back to E3 2017. Sonic Forces' final trailer drops, not only revealing the character creator, but also revealing that it'll feature the return of some of Sonic's classic villains. This is probably the point where we should have started to worry about this game. Let's take this from the top, kids. Metal Sonic is not an old villain. He is honestly a pretty popular and prominent villain. Him making a return isn't really anything special. Hell, he was even in Boom for God's sake. Zavik is also not an old villain. He also is not an old favorite because no one likes him. Canonically speaking, he was in the last mainline game, and Sega just consistently keeps pushing him on everyone, even though, again, no one really likes him. Shadow, okay, in all fairness, not too bad, but it's not like Shadow's really been all that consistent lately. Boom turned him into a jackass, so guess what? We fought him in Sonic Boom. Yay. We fought him in Generations, but that was Sonic Adventure 2 Shadow. And Shadow's had a bad reputation of Sega constantly flip-flopping between him actually being a well-written and cool character to just being an edgy asshole for no reason. So this wasn't the most surprising thing. That just leaves Chaos, the main antagonist of Sonic Adventure, as the only actual shocking reveal here. But now the questions arise. Just why are these guys back? Well, let's finally get into the story. Sonic Forces begins with Eggman contemplating his losses and promising that this time it'll be different, because he has the Phantom Ruby, previously seen in Sonic Mania. In that game, it gave whoever held it the ability to warp time and space, but here, well, you'll see. Cut to a bit later, Sonic jumps in as Eggman is terrorizing a city when suddenly the aforementioned bad guys, now joined by this fella Infinite, start attacking him. Tails is also here. He does nothing to stop this. Sonic is then presumably killed, cut to black, white text appears on screen that just says, "And then Eggman took over the world." What? That is how this game starts. Cut to the next scene. The Resistance, is welcoming in your created character. This Resistance is made up of the Chaotix, Silver, Amy, Knuckles, Rouge, and a handful of other miscellaneous background characters that we never actually see or learn about. None of these characters, aside from Silver, actually do anything, apart from bringing up how Tails has, quote, lost it. It's like Sega said, alright, everyone say one line and then move on. I don't know, how do these people feel about all this? Sonic is presumed dead, and apart from a quick chat between Amy and Silver, it's never really brought up until, shocker, Sonic isn't actually dead. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. Tails is fixing Omega, whose death, for lack of a better word, is basically brushed over, when suddenly Chaos appears. He slowly limbers over to Tails, and in response, Tails curls up, cries out for Sonic, and does nothing. Look, I get that Tails is younger than Sonic, but his entire character up to this point is that his youth does not hold him back. He had an entire arc in Sonic Adventure about learning to fight for himself and be an independent hero. He single-handedly beat Eggman, twice! Oh yeah, and in Sonic Adventure he also beat Chaos when he was 4 times as powerful. Is there any wonder why everyone got so goddamn pissed off when this happened? Anyways, just before Tails dies, Classic Sonic runs in from a random portal and just kills Chaos in one hit. Where'd he come from? Well, I hope you played Sonic Mania and finished it with each Chaos Emerald, otherwise you'd have no idea. Yeah, previous Sonic games had continuity with one another, but at least in those you just had to beat the game normally, and this isn't a dig at Mania, that game's fine. So anyways, Classic Sonic and Tails team up for a bit. Then we discover Sonic is alive and well, in a prison all the way up on a Death Egg. Sonic then single-handedly breaks out of prison, and while yeah, we did bring a ship up to him, there was like a bunch of those around. Sonic could have probably found his way back to Mobius somehow. Anyways, back to Resistance, everyone's like, yay, Sonic's back. A bit later, Silver and Infinite are fighting, and Silver knocks a Phantom Ruby prototype out of Infinite's hand, I guess, making him the only other Resistance member to actually do something useful. I'm gonna take a brief second here to have some actual positivity, because I think that this Snake boss is actually pretty fun. Since it's an auto-runner, the whole boost thing isn't an issue, and it's one of the only times you have to worry about positioning when running fast. Also, it's just memorable. You're fighting a bad guy and a giant snake. It's kinda cool. Anyways, eventually it's found out that the way Infinite's powers work is that by using the Phantom Ruby, he can, and I actually looked it up here, create quote-unquote illusions. Now here's the thing about that. In Sonic Mania, its powers are pretty easy to understand. It can warp space and time, which is the explanation for why Sonic keeps getting transported around to levels he's already been to. He's going back in time or jumping around in space. But here, well, they call them illusions, a lot like, say, Mysterio from Spider-Man. The thing about that is that an illusion can't actually hurt you or anything. It's not like physical, it's just in your mind. Now yeah, there is such a thing as placebo, but that only goes so far. Like when he flips gravity around and you're running on walls and shit, what's actually happening in the reality of this situation? Are you just running around in circles? Normally this wouldn't matter, but Infinite's illusions supposedly almost brought an end to the world. At the end of the game, Infinite is using his power to create a sun and crash into Mobius, as well as create an army of illusions. But like, if the sun's just an illusion, And by now everyone knows it, then should there really even be a threat here? The only other possibility is that these aren't illusions and are just direct copies, which yeah, makes sense, but using the word illusion just makes that shit confusing. And by the way, either way, it's not what the Phantom Ruby does in its first appearance. Now yeah, Mania and Forces came out in the same year. That doesn't excuse a lack of organization. You should have figured out what this thing does and how it works before you started writing the story, you jackasses. Anyway, Shadow kills Fake Shadow in a cutscene, Infinite does the whole sun thing, he dies, Sonic, and Rookie save the day. The end. Now let's talk about some serious problems with the story. So as I alluded to multiple times, most of the characters in this story don't do a damn thing. The only characters that are ever actually of use in the story are Sonic, Classic Sonic, Rookie, Silver, Shadow, Infinite, and Eggman. That's less than half of the characters here. Tails, Knuckles, Rouge, Amy, Charmy, Espio, Vector, all of these characters are entirely useless. Omega makes 2 cameo appearances, once at the start of the game effectively dead, and neither at the end, somehow back to life. Why the hell are most of these guys even here? A lot of people complain about Sonic's big group of friends. Either their overuse, or their lack of use. However, when Sonic fans say, we want to see your favorite characters more, this is exactly what we don't want. Yeah, it's nice to see the Chaotix again or whatever, but like, is it really worth it if they're basically useless? All this does is make them look like they're horribly inept. Oh, and by the way, speaking of that, this story makes everyone look horribly inept. Now, don't get me wrong, Sonic is certainly up there in power levels as far as Sonic characters go, but you mean to tell me that just without him, even with basically every other character in the franchise fighting together, they are entirely powerless? Hey kids, let's play the game. Who here has beaten Eggman before? Tails, as we discussed, has beaten Eggman single-handedly in both adventure games, and was very important to being Eggman in Sonic Heroes. In Knuckles' story of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, he beats the Egg Robo, who's using Eggman's machines, and the Master Emerald-powered Mecha Sonic, so yeah, we'll count him too. Silver has beaten Eggman Nega in both Sonic Rival games, and so has Espio. The Chaotix as a whole beat Metal Sonic, who's using Eggman's machines in Sonic Heroes, and he also did that, as well as being Eggman in Sonic Advance 1 and 2. So, yeah. Shadow is pretty consistently seen as equal in power to Sonic, so a special fuck you to that one, and Rouge beat Eggman Nega in Sonic Rivals 2. So you mean to tell me that these characters, combined, could not beat Eggman over the course of months, but the second that Sonic and some random chuckle fuck from out of nowhere shows up, suddenly Eggman's iron grip is destroyed in what doesn't even feel like more than a day? So why the hell are these characters even here? I'd rather not see these characters for a while than have them show up only to do nothing and look like a jackass for the whole game. Oh hey, by the way, while we're talking about characters that we haven't seen in a while, where the hell is Blaze? Where the hell's Cream? Blaze I can at least get, she's a princess, I don't know, maybe Mobians haven't figured out cross-dimensional travel yet? Fine, whatever. But seriously, where the hell is Cream? She was a pretty big deal when it came to fighting Eggman, since she beat Eggman on at least 4 occasions, one of which completely on her own. So where the hell is she? Is she captured? Now, yes, I did just bring up how most of these characters are useless, but that's kinda why this Cream question is really sticking with me. Like, really? Cream is where you draw the line? Yeah, okay, it would be a little absurd to have a 6-year-old running around during a war, especially since she's a pacifist, but like, she could have just been in the Resistance headquarters. I'm just baffled that you have basically every other secondary character in the series here, except this one. It's just such an odd thing to me to leave her out entirely. I mean, she's Amy's best friend, for God's sake. Where is she? I just want to know, damn it. Anyways, that was a fucking tangent and a half, sorry. But it just goes to show you how, when you do these big, grand stories like this, you gotta make sure you actually have enough time to not only explore it, but give the characters moments to shine so that everyone actually has something to do. But this game is pathetically short. Now yeah, Sonic games are about going fast, but past games have managed to make the games last longer while not fully sacrificing that sense of speed. Or in Generation's case, they wisely kept the story as simple and basic as possible since they know they don't have a lot of time to work with here. But that's the thing though, Sonic Forces was meant to be a grand return to the storytelling of the Adventure era, the pre-Colors era. But, well, let's talk about those games real quick, shouldn't we? Sonic Adventure 2 is pretty much the best Sonic game story-wise, but seeing how we just went over the story of Sonic Forces, we'll just get down to brass tacks here. Where does Sonic Adventure 2 go right, where Forces goes wrong? Well, for one, Sonic Adventure 2 is a simpler story told over a longer period of time. and 2, it has actually interesting and compelling themes and characters. I know that may sound a bit silly, but just roll with me here. When you really look at it, Shadow is the main character of Sonic Adventure 2, and it focuses on his journey of coming to grips with the idea of loss and even death. Moreover, the game itself deals with these themes, as well as the theme of redemption and forgiveness. These are overt themes in the story anyone playing would be able to pick up on, but they're still there and given time to naturally develop. The characters are also given genuine depth. Every character, when I first meet them, we kinda get a feel for who they are. But as the story goes on and the plot gets more serious, we find out more about these guys and we see them in different situations. We see how their clashing personalities affect one another. Even Eggman is given depth in what is genuinely my favorite moment from him.
As a child, I looked up to my grandfather because of all the great things he accomplished in his life. He was my hero, and I wanted to be a great scientist like him. But did he really mean to destroy us?
These are compelling themes. Played out, yes, but played out for a reason. They're also surprisingly deep for a kid's game, which is probably why it's so revered. The kids that played this game, that experienced the story and fell in love with these characters, it's something that stuck with them because it was handled so well, with great pacing and, well, just a downright great story. I'm sure that there are a lot of kids who probably connected well with the themes, even if it was just with something simple like losing a dog, or something a lot deeper like losing an old loved one. It's just something that a lot of people can connect with, and it made the story stronger because of it. Sonic Force's themes are friendship is good.
My friends got me this far, and together, we're gonna win!
That's it. That's about it. Now, don't get me wrong, not every story has to have grand themes, but if you're bankrolling on this being a return to form with these more serious stories, a theme as simplistic as that isn't really the way to go. Now yes, Sonic Heroes has a very similar theme, but like I said with Generations, the story is a lot simpler there anyways, so it works. Now, the thing that's most disappointing about this story is that it had potential for so much more. Remember, the whole plot of this game is basically that the main characters have lost. Eggman won, he actually fucking did it. He took over the world and presumably killed Sonic. This is a type of story that's rarely seen in kids media, hell, popular media in general. Redemption, revenge, seeing hope in an otherwise hopeless scenario. You have a goldmine of subject matter that you can be focusing on, like the game aside, that's not even really inappropriate for children. Most of these are completely accepted to be in kids media. But they just gloss over everything so quickly, or just straight up ignore it, it can't actually be considered a main point of the story. Why the hell is nobody angry? No one is sad either, aside from one line from Amy. Everyone just talks like they're off on another adventure. This isn't like a resigned hopelessness, like where the battle has been going on for years and they're just kind of accepting it'll go on forever. It's only been a couple of months at best. Oh shit, we slipped into characters, didn't we? Well, I can't hide it anymore. Let's start talking about the game's most infamous part, the characters. Let's take a brief pause, both for my mental health and for the sake of some positivity, and actually talk about some characters I think are handled quite well. Eggman, for the first time in a long time, is actually handled like a serious threat for once. This is pretty much the first time since, well, 06 really, that he's been a serious character treated like a real threat. He's also actually rather pragmatic for once. When he learns that Sonic is both out of captivity and alive, he focuses on getting him back under control. Silver is also pretty good. I prefer his more goofball with serious moments personality he has in the comics, but it's nice to see him again, and for what I want from him, it works fine. Sonic is fine. Yeah, it's maybe not the best at having smirking and quipping all the time. Even Colors had moments of him being mad, but it's fine. He's a cocky son of a bitch with a big ego. He's the kind of guy who will casually talk to someone who just threatened to kill him. And that still shines through here as well. So, it's fine. And Shadow, well, we'll save that for later. Okay, now time for everyone else! For most of these guys, I have nothing to say beyond that the story stays the same without them. Amy, Chaotix, even Tails to an extent, Thanos snapped them away. Story stays the exact same. This just leaves Rookie and Knuckles. Rookie is a blank slate. He's a self-insert character. You're not supposed to have a lot of personality with him. Fine, whatever. As for Knuckles, he's kind of been fucked for a long time now. As anyone who's seen Sonic 2 can attest, Knuckles used to be a serious character. Hell, even has the honor of being this franchise's first dynamic character, going through a character arc in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. For a while, he was a serious character who had a heavy respect for his culture and took protecting the Master Emerald very seriously, as he should. It's the most powerful object in the franchise. As time went on, though, he became less and less connected to the Master Emerald, to the point where it was barely a part of his personality. At the same time, he started to become more and more of an idiot. Now, I don't hate the idea of Knuckles being a bit of a dope. That's fine. He lived on his own for 17 fucking years. It makes sense he'd be a bit slow in terms of recognizing social cues and all that. I think that the movie's sequel actually did a great job of presenting him this way. But as they stripped away more and more of his positive qualities, he became less and less of a respectable character, until now in Forces, the entire fucking world has been taken over, and Knuckles has abandoned Angel Island to become the leader of the Resistance. This guy is leaving the most powerful object in the entire universe just out in the open, free to be taken by anyone. And because he's an idiot now, he's also a terrible leader who thinks up plans in minutes, which amount to just rushing at them. Which causes a bunch of soldiers to die. Actually die. Why the fuck did you choose now to suddenly get weirdly serious? Knuckles is not just an idiot, he has lost all sense and is literally just a joke. And then there's Tails. Yeah, we're talking about him too. He holds the distinction of being both useless and a terrible character. Wow! When Tails was first introduced, he didn't really have much of a personality. Western media depicted him as kind of Sonic's younger brother, more youthful and less capable. It wasn't until Sonic 3 that he earned his child genius trait. When Adventure happened, Sega merged both canons the best that they could and decided to give Tails a character arc. At the start of the game, he's more like his Western counterpart, dependent on Sonic and all that, but throughout the game he becomes more independent and learns he can fight for himself. This carried on to Adventure 2, but starting with Heroes it started to wane a little. Some games depicted him as less independent, sometimes he's more so, but generally they at least kept him competent on his own. But then, starting with Unleashed, he went back to being more and more dependent on Sonic until finally here we are at Forces, with him basically being unable to function without Sonic being with him. Tails' character arc in Adventure was nice. I'm certain there were tons of younger brothers that it resonated with. It was nice that they kept up with it for a while. Seeing a character who basically flourished on the idea of how looks can be deceiving, now being a wallowing baby who literally can't do anything helpful at all, it's just kind of sad is all. These characters have so much potential, but here they are just being wasted. Oh shit, I haven't even talked about Infinite, have I? He's boring. Generically greedy, he just wants to be the strongest. Yeah, boring. Okay, anything else left to talk about? I like the game's music. Fist Bump is actually a pretty nice tune. It's no live and learn, but it's catchy and I enjoy it on its own. Honestly, it's probably the best part of the game, and even then, in terms of Sonic music, it's not exactly top tier. Alright, I think I've basically touched on everything. The gameplay sucks. The story sucks. The characters suck. The level design sucks. Basically everything that matters in a game is really, really bad. But now comes the tricky part. Sonic 06 and Sonic Boom are infamous. They are heavily considered to be some of the worst video games ever made. And now, I need to make a case for why this game is worse than both of them. I'll cut right to the chase. The reason why Sonic Forces is worse than either is because Sonic Forces is boring! While I was making this video, a video essay by famous internet personality Yahtzee Croshaw came to mind, entitled "Bad Games Are Better Than Bland Games," and it puts forward a point that I wish to echo. Basically, he says that when you go out to experience a piece of art, be that a video game, a movie, a book, what have you, we expect to experience some sort of emotional reaction. Fear, excitement, confusion, sadness, joy. All of this shit is delivered to you from the greatest works of art out there. However, something that is really, really bad can also bring out these same emotions. You can be confused or angry at how bad a movie is, or if you don't have a stick in your ass, you can laugh at it. This is where the term "so bad's good" comes from. So the way I like to visualize it is that there's a spectrum. On one end, really, really good works of art. On one end, really, really bad works of art. And these can both bring out these emotional reactions at equally strong levels. Just the bad ones not in the way they intended at all. However, as art becomes less bad or less good, the emotional reactions steadily become less and less strong, until finally we reach the center of the spectrum, where we find boredom. It is neither good nor bad enough to be interesting anymore, it's just boring, and I will argue that's where Sonic Forces lies. Sonic 06 and Boom, however, are just such hilariously bad tragedies that they were put on more of the bad side of the spectrum. Sonic 06 and Boom are games that, in the moment, you can laugh at. You can find them fascinating. When you find out you can break Sonic 06 wide open by just doing a simple spin move on a box, or Boom by pausing in the middle of a jump, it's fucking hilarious. These games are broken to such an extent that they're enjoyably bad. But Forces isn't enjoyably bad. It's just boring. from an outsider's viewpoint, Sonic Forces is, at best, a competently put together experience that'll last 2 hours. Meanwhile, an outsider can just look at a handful of things, even just the intentional things, that happen in 06 and be like, oh yeah, that looks horrible, and hilarious. There are even people out there who will passionately defend Sonic 06, not as being a genuinely great game, but at least being enjoyable partially because of its flaws. This is a really good video, by the way. Now, you may see some people complimenting Forces, but the reason why is mainly just because we have nothing from the franchise for 5 years now, and people are just desperately trying to find something positive to say about the most recent game in the franchise that they love. Sonic Unleashed came out 2 years after 06, and basically already redeemed Sonic in the public eye. Sonic Frontiers only just got an announcement trailer a few months ago. Hopefully it will come out sometime this year, maybe not. But ultimately, I just think this goes to show, at least on Sega's end, just how bad Sonic Forces really is. Before Forces in 2017, the last Sonic game Sega worked on was Sonic Lost World, which came out in 2013. That gave them roughly 4 years to make Sonic Forces. However, according to an interview with Sonic Forces producer Shun Nakamura, director Morio Kishimiti, and sound director Tomoya Otani, full-scale production lasted about a year. They also say that they had to cut a lot from the game, which kind of tells me Sonic Forces really needed more time in the oven. Now, I don't mean to imply that Sonic Team just spent the last 4 years just dicking around and not doing anything. Obviously, that's absurd. But I just think that's worrying that in 2008, Sonic Team made a game that's twice as long as Forces in half the time. Sonic Unleashed was not only much longer than Forces, but also had 2 entirely new gameplay styles, dozens of new character designs, multiple new characters, and it is much, much better. Sonic Forces has an original character creator that, for the most part, is just Sonic without boost, and a story that barely takes advantage of anything. You know, I've been very hard on Sonic Forces this whole video. Is there anything truly positive I have to say about the game? Anything about the game I would consider unironically good. Any part of the game which I played and figured that, yes, it was in fact an enjoyable time? Well, it was one thing.
All hail Shadow, heroes rise again, obliterating everything that's not your friend. Nothing can stop you now, no ghost to bring you down. There's nothing left to lose, you win.
Sonic Forces had a number of free DLCs, one of which was a small side story called Episode Shadow, taking place just before the proper story of Sonic Forces. In it, you play through a couple of modified levels from the game as Shadow, which are altered to be much more difficult. And beyond the issues that exist in the game that can't be changed, like the lack of momentum and such, it's actually really good. The story is simple. E123 Omega has gone missing, so the other 2 members of Team Dark, Rouge and Shadow, set out to find out what's going on. Eventually, Shadow gets his brain taken over by Infinite, who then proceeds to fuck with him. And, you know what? I really can't think of a lot of problems here. Yeah, Shadow still has the boost, but seeing how the levels are redesigned, you actually don't always use the boost. Yes, they're still there, but you're encouraged to do something different. Wow! And the characters, oh lord, these characters. There's only 4 characters in this entire campaign, but damn, they're all good. Omega is exactly what you'd expect, dead set on destroying everything he can. Rouge is the level-headed member of the trio. Infinite is an unhinged lunatic now, who's using his powers just to fuck with Shadow as much as possible. And Shadow, oh my god, Shadow. Shadow is one of the most misunderstood Sonic characters out there. Outside of his own game, Shadow is not an edgelord. And here, as well as in Forces proper, he's actually written well. He cares about his friends, Rouge and Omega. He actually wants to make sure that they're okay. When everything is going his way, he quips and makes jokes. Now yeah, he does have a bit of an ego and is still kind of abrasive and rougher than, say, Sonic is, but that's good. It sets him apart from Sonic while still making him fun and not, how did Boom put it?
Hilariously edgy.
Infinite also actually uses his power in an interesting way. In the game proper, it just extends to him making spikes appear or stuff like that, but here he uses his powers of duplication to really get into people's heads. He forces Shadow to listen to Omega's last words repeating over and over, or trying to gaslight him using Rouge. It's kind of neat, actually. It's the kind of shit I really wish he did more often and make him stand out more. So yeah, Episode Shadow was pretty good. Too bad it's only about 15 minutes long. Okay, so I've babbled on for a while now. I can already tell the video is going to be long as fuck. I honestly have so much I'm going to talk about when it comes to this game, but experience tells me it's time to wrap things up. I think I've made my point now. I don't like this game. And now that this video is over, I never have to touch it again. If you liked Forces, I'm open to hearing your arguments. Because by God, if you made it this far into video, you really do deserve it. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go play Sonic Heroes and remember why I like this franchise so much. I'm Sir Strongman, and that was the thing.
Look, he forced me to say that about Sonic Heroes. Truth is, Sonic Heroes is one of the best in the series. Now, come on, Strongman, join in. You can't resist. What goes up must come down, yet my feet don't touch the ground. See the world spinning upside down, a mighty crash without a sound.
I can feel your every rage. Step aside, I'll turn the page. Breaking through your crazy maze like a laser beam, my eyes on you.
Watch me rule the night away.
Watch me save the day.
Feel my stormy skin across
Headed your way. Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes. Find you, confine you, defying your reign. Sonic Heroes.